You are now tuned into Minimal Podcast, trading materials for peace of mind, hosted by me, Joseph Cooper. This is the Social Media Minimalist episode. Today, we are going to talk about minimizing your social media presence, maybe even decreasing it to a point where you no longer have social media. We're going to talk about the harms of social media and how social media has changed over the last 20 years. So thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. I know it's been a while since the last episode, but I definitely wanted to make this episode unique, special, because it's still about minimalism. It's still about peace of mind, but it's a little bit different. It's going to be about social media minimalism. So what does social media minimalism mean? Basically what it sounds like. So, over the last, 16, 17 years or so, social media has just taken over not only this country, but really the entire world. We have today, there's so many different types of social media. There's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, what you're watching me on YouTube, I guess would be considered social media. Snapchat, TikTok is really big also. So, over the last, 15, 16, 17 years, this explosion, if you will, of social media, has, enthralled billions of people all over the world. We start to think that we need social media. I'm going to touch on that in a little bit. And really about what was the true meaning of social media when it came out, how much we really need to have it or be on it or be scrolling through it, because it's very minimal, as you could tell, or none at all, actually. So that's really what this is about. I'm going to take you back to when I discovered, what social media was. I think it was back in 2005 when it was the first time I had ever heard of MySpace. I didn't know what MySpace was, because, when I did find out what MySpace was, I thought it was pretty interesting, to say the least, because it was people sharing personal information about themselves, when at a time when the internet was a place where you're not really supposed to share personal information. When the internet was really about privacy. You weren't really supposed to share, your real name, your location, out of safety, out of security. And I really think MySpace kind of changed that mindset, to where people will share personal information. They share their real names. They share personal photos of themselves. And, really it's taken off from there. We have, MySpace, and then eventually Facebook overtook, MySpace, and then Twitter came out, and then Instagram came out. And then, YouTube has always been there. YouTube itself was really just more about uploading videos. There was no interaction, because the social media piece is the interacting piece. So if you can't interact with something, it's not really social media. But then, of course, with YouTube, you have likes, you have dislikes, you have comments. Now it becomes social media. Then you have Instagram, then you have TikTok, and all of these things are social media. And we have come into this era now here in 2022 that there is an expectation for people to have social media. There is an expectance that someone's going to have a Facebook, an Instagram, a Twitter, or whatever it may be. And I'm really making this video to let you know that social media, we don't need it. How do I know we don't need it? It's easy, because we went all these centuries, millenniums without social media. So now all of a sudden there's this big expectance that we are supposed to have it. We're supposed to have it on our phones. We're supposed to be scrolling, and we're supposed to be looking at profiles and posts, and whatever it may be. And I'm just here to let you know, that's none of that is true. It's actually the complete opposite. So social media didn't exist 20 years ago. So 20 years ago, we still had internet. We still had, it was the information superhighway. We still have that. We didn't have internet on our phones yet. There was no such thing as smartphones. 20 years ago, we had cell phones. We didn't have any internet on it. So now this, really in social media, it's more negative than it is positive, because the whole point of social media was for people with similar interest to communicate about certain things, whether it be, I don't know, sports, music, movies, if you will, and share and interact with that information. As you know, over the last, few years, it's really become more, it's a negative space. There's nothing but negativity. Social media is especially harming our children. As I just read an article that social media it has been definitely harmful to teenage girls over the last 10 years or so. So with this type of negativity, why would anyone want negativity in their life? Why would they want it in their pocket? Why would they want it in their phone? There's really no reason to have social media if it's that negative. And, and some people will argue, well, social media is still a good thing. But I give you that it started off for good. But when something starts off for good and it just congenitively gets worse year by year, then eventually it's going to stop being good. It's going to become a bad thing. It has transitioned into a bad thing. People have lost a lot to social media. People have lost their jobs. They have lost their families. They've lost their marriages. Even some instances, people have lost their life over social media. So why would anyone tell anyone to tell them, hey, you should make a Facebook, you should make an Instagram, because we went all these years without social media and without all of these things. And I'm going to say technology, all it does is it just improves and it increases and it gets better year by year. So if technology is so good right now in 2022, then why are we not as happy as we were 20 years ago in 2002? When the technology obviously wasn't nearly as good 20 years ago as it is today, because 20 years ago we didn't have smartphones, we didn't have 5G, we didn't have MySpace, we didn't have Facebook. So why are we less happy in 2022 than we were in 2002? And I think a lot of it is contributed to social media, and how these false pretenses and expectations that social media has placed on people negatively. People have dedicated their lives to perpetuating a particular lifestyle on social media, which may not be entirely true. We're pretty much lying for social media to keep up some type of reputation, some type of status, if you will. And really, it's not about that. If you didn't have social media today, trust me, I guarantee you'll be much happier. If you have a Facebook, people say, oh, well, shut it off for a week, or, deactivate it for a month. What if you just deactivated it altogether? The change the mindset, go back to where we were 20 years ago. Just go back. Because I was happier 20 years ago before I had to think about, how am I going to keep up something on, social media, Instagram, Facebook, and all of these things. Where let's go back in time when we were happier, and so we can do that today. We don't have to wait. Get rid of your Facebook, get rid of your Instagram, get rid of your Twitter account, your TikTok account, whatever it may be. Let's go back. Let's focus on ourselves, and let's not focus on our phones. We're in charge of our own happiness. And I think that's a big, we get that misconstrued a lot, is that we think our happiness is going to come from another person. We think our happiness is going to come from something that we can purchase, something that's going to happen to us. And that's not true. That's not where happiness comes from. Happiness always comes from inside. It's always going to come from our decisions, and we're in charge of our happiness. No one else is going to be in charge of how happy we are. So we need to start taking those steps to be happy. And so one of those steps is focus on yourself. Whatever your goals and your dreams are, let's focus on. You can't focus. You're not going to reach your goals and your dreams if you're constantly in your phone, because that's how social media just really, I think social media really took off when high-speed internet came to our phones, because prior to that, you had to be on a desktop. You had to log in to a MySpace and a Facebook, and which was probably better back then when it was really desktop only, because, or on a laptop, because you didn't really, if you were at school, if you were at work, you were away from social media for however many hours a day that is. So if you were at school all day, you were at work all day, and then maybe you come home and you check a social media website, at home. But once social media became, with the implosion of smartphones and iPhones and Android and apps, and once we got high-speed internet on our phones, it just exacerbated the whole social media era, which we're in today. We're still in it. I don't know if we're ever going to get out of it. I hope one day that we do. I hope that we transition back to being personable. I hope we transition going back to being sociable, true sociable, not social media, but sociable with presence, our physical presence. Just going back to where we used to be and how much fun we used to have, how happy we used to be. And I definitely, if we're all striving for a peace of mind, because that's what this YouTube channel was about. It's about peace of mind. And then I say that, if it takes, getting rid of social media, so be it. Bite the bullet. That's a small price to pay, because if I know I'm going to be happy without it, let's do it. There's no real reason to have an Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, but we have been told that is the expectation. Now companies expect us to have social media. How do we know that? Easy, because that's where they advertise now. That's where the advertisements are. The advertisements, it used to be, someone had to advertise to us. They had to make commercials on TV. They had to, put ads in magazines. They had to put up billboards, but now they know everyone's deep in their phone. So now they put their advertisements right in the middle of Facebook. They put it right in the middle of Twitter and Instagram, TikTok, wherever your favorite social media account is. And, if we didn't, social media, like I said, didn't exist 20 years ago, how did we survive back then? I think it's very simple. We knew how we survived back then when we didn't need it. So if we didn't need it in 2002, then we don't need it in 2022. I think we've been lied to. We've been told that we need to have social media and you need to have a presence on social media, whatever it may be. And, it's a great thing because you can follow your friends and you can follow your family. Okay, what were we doing prior to this? Before this social media explosion, before this social media era, how were we doing those things? How were we keeping track of our friends and our families, our following, our being aware of our favorite artist or whatever? Our artist is releasing an album. Our artist is is going on tour. So if I think we need to reprogram our minds, because we're getting programmed by the media, by the masses, that you need to have this thing. And now they say, well, it's the metaverse. So you need to be in the metaverse because social, and I think that when I see things like that, that is a program they're trying to indoctrinate on people, is that now they're really telling people you have to exist online. You need a presence online, because if you don't have a presence online, you're going to get left behind. Where is this coming from? Why is this being pushed on people? Why is this being pushed on anyone, especially, our youth? I think our youth is definitely the most vulnerable when it comes to the internet, just in general. When it comes to social media, we definitely have to protect our youth, make sure that their privacy is maintained, that their security and their safety is definitely the priority. So why do we get so much information about you need to be in the metaverse, you need to have social media? And I think it's, social. I think the big news a few months ago was about how Facebook, there was a whistleblower about how Facebook allows their operations is to, allow people to post harmful post, whether it be negativity, whether it be lies. Well, it's not just Facebook, it's really every piece of social media, because it's, if they're posting things that's intentionally harming people, like I said, especially our youth, but not just our youth, us adults, it's posting things to harm people and to allow it to continue. So the internet is not a safe place. It's not a safe space. We know that. It's even probably more harmful than it's ever been. So we need to reclaim our privacy, reclaim our happiness, reclaim our security and our safety, and take care of our youth, take care of our children, but also take care of ourselves and take care of each other. And that's really where I think we need, that's the route we need to go. Instead of telling people to go into the metaverse, let's tell them how to be comfortable in their own skin again, because social media has just definitely stripped that from people. So social media has made people this small. It dehumanizes people, because if you're not like this social media person that's posting and has millions of followers and they're saying they have this and that and they're so popular and they're so rich, it's really, it's making people feel very bad about themselves. You have, the suicide rate increasing. It's just very, very bad things that social media has put a spotlight on. A lot of negativity that I wish that just didn't exist anymore. And I'm not big enough to get rid of social media. Anyone watching this, we're probably not powerful enough to do anything about it. But what we can do is that we control our own destiny. We control our own. We are the masters of our domain. So if until these companies really change their policies and change their privacy policies, and also change how they are marketing towards adults and especially our youth, then all we can do is just remove ourselves from it. And I think that is the best plan of action. So deactivate everything. If that means deactivating YouTube, what you're watching me on, so be it. I'd rather you be happy than you be a subscriber. Because what's the things that really matter in life, it's going to be peace of mind. It's going to be your family. It's going to be your friends. It's going to be your faith. Those are the things that are going to be important. Your health is going to be important. So if that means that you take your smartphone and you go and throw it in the river, so be it. Because I want you to be happy. I don't care about any subscribers. None of that. Because this channel is not about subscribers. It's about peace of mind. And, I would love for you to subscribe. I would love for you to like, the videos. But what's more important than that is going to be your health. Your peace of mind, your mental health, your physical health. That is always going to trump any and everything that is going on in this world. So that's more important than any social media company, any social media app, any social media site. So I think I've been speaking long enough, so I'll leave it at that. So thank you for tuning in. There's going to be much more episodes of just about minimalism. Of course, this is Jay Thomas Presents Minimalist Lifestyle. And I definitely want you to be a social media minimalist. If that means getting rid of it altogether, hey, then so be it. Hey, I definitely want you to do what's best for you and not what's best for these companies, because these are billion-dollar companies. And these billion-dollar apps and these billion-dollar social medias may not be looking out for your best interest. So you have to look out for your best interest. So we'll leave it at that. Thank you. Good night and God bless. Thank you for lending your ears. If you enjoy what you're hearing, please subscribe and tell your friends about this podcast. You can also show your support by purchasing a hoodie at minimalbranded.com. That is my website for merchandise and hoodies. These hoodies are very inspirational, positive, and reflect everything that I'm talking about in this podcast. So please, 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 if you have a few seconds, go over to minimalbranded.com, browse around, and if you see something, please show your support and purchase. And remember, new episodes will be uploaded weekly. Thank you again.